Full disclaimer, I'm French, so you're going to hear some weird S's, weird verb conjugation along the way. It's normal. You're going to get it. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this very first episode of Product Misfires. My name is P.E. Bousquet, and I am the president and co-founder of Thirdbridge. Thirdbridge is a software development agency. We're based in Montreal, Quebec. We're based in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're based in Warsaw, Poland. It's a pleasure to host this new podcast for you guys where we're going to be talking about product misfires. And in the day-to-day, what we do for our work, we touch on a bunch of products and we have a bunch of misfires with our clients, with our end users. There's a bunch of stuff that we do wrong and that we learn about it. Now, the concept of this podcast is just to talk with our guests about their product misfires, discuss what they've learned, the features that we're trying to build, the problems that we're trying to solve, and hopefully you guys listening will be able to learn a thing or two. So enjoy this podcast. This is a new initiative, and don't forget to subscribe if you like the episodes, and talk to you soon. All right, welcome everybody to this very first episode of Product Misfires. Boop, 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 boop. This is our first episode of our English podcast. So for this very first episode, we've got Kirsten Sherwin with us. We're so happy to have you. Kirsten, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me on the podcast. It's exciting to be on the very first one.
Yes.
I'm English, but I still mess up my words anyways.
See, next time we'll do a French podcast with you and then it's going to be
Yeah,
equal.
Exactly. Well, then we'll be even.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Simple as that.
Great.
So yeah.
A little bit about me. So I'm a product manager at Thirdbridge. I work with you. Obviously, we know each other.
For how long have you?
I just celebrated my 3 years.
3 years.
At Thirdbridge. Yeah. And I
Awesome.
was the first product manager that Thirdbridge hired. And it's been a roller coaster and super interesting. I've learned so much in the last 3 years. And before Thirdbridge, I worked at a startup. And so that's kind of what got me into tech, because I do not have a tech background whatsoever.
Prior to that, yes, tell us.
Yeah, so I'm actually a theater kid. I studied theater at university and never really ended up working in theater, just kind of did it during school. It's always a passion of mine. And the way that I see it is like I bring my theater background into the products
and
that
it shows. It shows, right?
I want to create a whole experience for the users, right? It's not just pressing buttons and all that. It's like, how do you want your users to feel when they're using the applications that you make? So
you bring the empathy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is huge.
The humanness.
It's huge. And just in your role on a daily basis, that theater, skills that you brought to the table is just huge. Presenting to the client.
Presenting, talking, doing podcasts.
So these are the things that are going well. Mm-hmm. Today in this episode, in this podcast, the theme is product misfires. Yeah. Things that have not gone the way that we wanted. We had high hopes, right? We started it and then it just sort of blew up in our faces. We want to talk about those stories. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Share yours?
Yeah. I have a couple under my belt.
Let's go.
In the few years that I've worked in product. Where to begin? I think the one that stands out the most to me is actually something that happened in my first and a half year at Thirdbridge working on one of the products. And it was a great learning experience where I actually was able to take it and bring it into like an internal meeting with the other product managers that we have now. And my presentation was called, is it a gut instinct or is it just the pizza you had for lunch?
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah.
And basically it was early days of my product experience. We had a client who had an idea and they wanted to give a free coffee to their users that came into their store and used the application. So it was sort of like here you've used this, you're a regular user. It's a coupon that we offer once every 7 days for a free coffee. And right away we were like, who doesn't love free coffee?
Come on, it's like the easiest assumption ever, right?
Exactly.
Free stuff, people will take it.
100%. So we heard this and we were right away like, oh, that's a great idea. This will help with loyalty. This will like really give a good experience to the users. They'll be happy about this. Let's do it. And so we built the experience where at the very end of the flow, we added in a coupon where they got a coffee within 5 minutes of their visit it to the location and using the app, and it flopped. It was not adopted by the users. I think after like 3 months, it had something like a 0.003% engagement.
So no one used it?
No one used it. Well, we looked at the list, and one of the main people that used it was our contact, our client.
Our client. Yeah, that's amazing.
They would use the app, they would go into the store, and they would get their free coffee, and it was one of their ideas, and they thought it was a great idea, and they use it all the time, but the rest of the users really
So
wasn't.
the concept was really just to try to support a new product that the client was pushing, right? So, and we can say, let's go for it, right?
Yeah.
So it was a client that wanted to sell car wash subscriptions to their customers. And the theory was that they would be in the car wash and receive a coupon.
Exactly. So they
drive
would
them in store.
To drive them in store after they've done their car wash. So you would increase sales of bringing people into the store, or the coupon was also limited for it was only valid for 3 days. And so it was to try and bring them back quicker as well, was like the other incentive of the coupon, was to give it for a short time.
We want to increase the average visits, the number of visits, and increase the drive to store.
Exactly.
So a higher basket, which is in the convenience world, it's really complex, right? That's what we've been able to see in the past couple of years, is that working with clients in the retail space, they want to convert bigger baskets. They want to drive. They have a bunch of experience online. They have a bunch of experiences around their store sometimes.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, we want people to go into the store because that's where we make our biggest margin usually. Or just the idea of not selling one unique product, selling a whole category of product, right?
Exactly.
So the people were in the car wash. They received a notification?
Yeah. So they would get a pop-up right at the end of their experience. And if for whatever reason they had their application closed and they were driving away, or once they get home, we would also have a push notification that they would see that they had a special offer in the app. So in any case, whether they're still on site or away from a site, they would see that they got this offer.
That nobody claimed.
Nobody wanted it.
So that's a proper misfire, right? So it's like, hey, this is genius. We've built the whole business case around it. The client approved it. Everybody was on board, but it was just a gut feeling, right?
It was just a gut feeling. It was definitely the pizza we ate for lunch.
So but see, that's a great lesson, right? Because we pushed this because it was a good idea, but it was we've never had a client saying, hey, when I do a car wash, I'm willing to go into the store. Right. And probably what we learned, and I don't know what's the biggest conclusion you can draw out of this?
The number one conclusion is doing data-driven decisions. So when you're making any decisions, look at your data, look at your users, understand them. And had we done that in the first place, rather than just being really gung-ho, yes, this is a great idea, let's go and do this. And we would have looked at the data, we would have seen that the users on the app that are typically reoccurring car wash users aren't often coupon users. They are interested in the car wash. Maybe if the coupon had something to do with a car wash service or rebate or reduction, that could have potentially been more interesting to them, but they weren't coupon users.
It's a different demographic, different
interest. There are probably people that are driving in for the car wash, heading off to an event or, showing off their car somewhere. And so they're not stopping for...
And they're willing to pay a good amount of money to wash their cars. A lot of time. It's incredible.
Yeah, they want their car clean,
Yes. And those car washes are amazing. So good job to our client. But then again, and you look at it from afar afterwards and you're like, of course, it makes sense. Somebody that has a nice car, that cares about having the perfect clean car all the time, may not be the biggest coupon user all the time. And they want to be in and out. So a bit like fuel as well, right?
Exactly.
It's not easy to drive to store. People go to the car wash and they want to go home, or they want to go to work.
Exactly.
And just get along with their day, not go buy a bag of chips.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's amazing. It's such a good lesson, and we do it a lot.
We do it a lot.
We're trying to do it less and less.
Absolutely.
And we're getting good at it.
We are getting good.
We still have those genius ideas that we think that will, bring a lot of value to our customers. And we're so passionate about it sometimes that we bring our clients with us, and we're like, yeah, this is such a good idea. And imagine what we're going to be able to do. And then it's like, Come on it doesn't work. Come on. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's, for me, it's a key lesson, and through the years, for sure, at Thirdbridge, we've seen a lot of misfires. I think I could share like one that that comes to mind on my end. It was, of course, like the holy grail of the service company that wants to transfer to a product company. Mm-hmm. It's always been an ambition of ours to say, hey, we have all this knowledge about building a great product, digital product. We have the expertise. Mm-hmm. We have the minds. We have we're exposed to a bunch of ideas from our clients. Yeah. We're going to be in a great position to actually build a product for our own. Mm-hmm. Now that was a big flop for us.
I'm like on the edge of my seat though. You're selling it so well right now. I'm like excited.
The thing is, so it was probably, I would say 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. We had this issue with our offices where people would come in, visitors, basically. It could be for delivery. So it could be the FedEx guy, or it could be just a client coming to visit. They would come in and they would they would bug the first person they would see, right? Because we didn't have someone at the reception. Mm. I mean, we're a small company. We don't have someone full-time at the entrance, and less companies actually have that.
Sure.
So they would come in and then they would see Jerome. And Jerome, who's our, head of technology, director of technology at Thirdbridge, was getting bugged by the FedEx guy and the visitors nonstop at the office. So we're like, hey, let's build this iPad app where people will come into the office and then interact with this app. They will say, hey, I'm coming to see CPE, and we're going to be able to just ping him directly. Or if it's a delivery, it's going to impact the right person. Anyways, long story short, this is genius. We're like, it's just going to be easy. We're going to build it. It's going to be simple. Right. We built it super lean. In like a week, we had a good product.
Oh, wow. That's fast.
Well, the team, sometimes they can go fast. Sometimes they can be slow, but most of the time they're quick. Mm-hmm. In a week, we had our prototype working in front of the office.
Very cool.
And it was fixing our issue. It was amazing. So no misfires right now. Mm-hmm. But then as clients came into the office, they were like, hey, this is kind of dope. Like, I want this in my office. So we're like, ding, ding, ding. We're going to start our own product with this. We're going to start building just a product that will be scalable in the market. Mm-hmm. And then this is where we flopped. This is where we learned the bad news of over-engineering. And that was our big lesson, right? So we're like, hey, let's build this for everyone and let's add features. And then we just went into that rabbit hole. It was just building new features, hey, what about this feature? We should add it. So in 1 week, we were able to do our prototype that created value. Mm-hmm. But then we spent about 6 months engineering the product that would be on the market, and was complicated and had a bunch of features and whatnot. We came to market with it and people were like, it's too complicated. This is not what I want. I just want the iPad in front where I can tap on the name of someone and the person will come to the entrance and pick me up. Mm. And we're like, wait. We invested so much time, effort,
resources.
Instead of working on customers' projects, we were working on ours. Mm-hmm. It was a huge investment. And then at the end, we had beautiful branding. It was trademarked. It was the whole 9 yards. But we came to the conclusion that it was just no more product market fit. Mm. We overkilled it, over-engineered it. And it was Nick that was into it. And it was just like going at it nonstop. It was like, if only we would have just taken what we've done in 1 week, flipped it to a client, and then listened to them on what they wanted instead of just doing what we thought the clients wanted, we would have had probably a successful launch with our product. Mm-hmm. But instead it was just a bunch of features together and it was not what the clients wanted. It was just like, what is this? It's too complicated. I can't do this. I can't do that. Mm-hmm. So it was a big learning for us. It was just what a flop.
Something that you could ship fast and then iterate on with the user feedback.
That's it.
Is a great way.
Do you have that in your projects? Have you done
yeah.
like over engineering where you get to the finish line and you're like, oops, I think like this feature and that feature are not super valuable.
We went too far.
Yeah, we went too far. We did it.
I don't think I've encountered that specific problem yet. But I do think that I saw the tail end, I think, of Offi. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, it's called Offi.
When I came into Thirdbridge, and I would see like little mentions of here and there, and I thought that it was really cool. I didn't have all of this context, obviously, but yeah, it's hard to not fall into that like rabbit hole of like, this is a great product. How can we make it better? Right? Rather than kind of like keeping it where it's at.
And getting feedback.
Getting the feedback, getting it out there.
That's it.
And then seeing what people say on it. And I think you guys were probably hit by the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean,
as well.
For sure. It was a software for offices. And then pandemic happened, and I was like, good luck selling something about an office. Like, I don't think we could have sold a chair to a company at that point. So, good luck selling software to it. Yeah, it was tough timing, but I mean, what can you do? Timing is timing. But at the end of the day, even prior to that, our product was not good. It was over-engineered, overdone, and one thing that also came. And probably the reason why we over-engineered it was that we had this one early adopter client. And I think we have to really be careful with the one early adopter super user that comes to the table with all his personal issues and vision about what the software should do. And when you start listening to that one single customer, you start building a custom software for that client.
Yeah.
But that customer is not representative of the entire audience that you're trying to reach with your product. So that also, that client, when I look back on it, that client was just saying, hey, add this, hey, add that. And we kept saying like, the client probably knows. And we agree, like we kind of see the same issues. So we were building, just two minds were building the software for two companies instead of building it for 1 million companies or 1,000 companies, whichever the number. But it had to be a bigger pool. It couldn't be the one early adopter. It had to be a bigger sample. And I think that's where we just kept digging and pushing into this rabbit hole of saying the product is not good enough. Where the not good enough, we all know the MVP, right? Minimal valuable product. Yeah. Or viable product. But where I usually try to bring this conversation of MVP is on the valuable product. So where does it create value? And then maybe stop there. Don't over push it, because sometimes the viable is not good enough, right? Because viable could be a piece of sheet of paper and or a little dinghy at the entrance. It could have done the job, right? Ding ding ding, and then someone would come. Yeah. That may be the minimal viable product. Right. But valuable was just creating the exact value we were trying to get out of the software. We just overdid it. So we never stopped. And but that was just such a small sample. So instead of gearing ourselves with maybe 20 people that we could have spoken on a weekly basis saying, how do you like this? That client had this idea. What do you think about it? And then start bouncing ideas between clients and saying, is it valuable also for you? And if the answer is no, then we don't do it. It's as simple as that, right?
Exactly.
So building something for one client is not good.
And I think that's one place where Thirdbridge has really grown in the last couple of years and does really well now is we came from a place where we were yes men for our clients. Our clients would come to us, and for every idea that they had, we'd be like, sure, let's do it. We'll see if it works. And we would just always kind of like give them exactly what they wanted, which was great for customer satisfaction, I would say, but it isn't the best thing for the product itself. And so that switch that we've been able to make where it becomes like that's a great idea, but let's validate. Yeah, let's validate it. Let's look into it. Let's look at the data. What are our users telling us? What's our huge. It's the make or break of creating a product, I think, is really understanding your users and understanding the market that you're going to bring it to. So in this case with Offi, you guys had one feature that was super exciting to people, that worked really, really well. But then you had different ideas coming in. And of course you want to push a product that you're like proud of, and this is incredible, and we're so excited about this, and this is great. But I think at that point it became too much, right?
We should have taken a step back and just say, what's the real value for the end user? And you're so right. Yeah. Now we're trying to look at, there's the business aspect that we're pushing to our clients. There's also just talking to end users and not the client, right? Mm-hmm. So that's also a different perspective. I think where we grew a lot is not just listening to our client, but listening to the end user. And that's been a big shift for us, where before it was just like, yes, client, yes, client, yes, client. You believe that your customers or end users want this, we're going to do it. No problem. No questions asked. Just like, you're paying us, we're going to do it. But then we're not doing our jobs if we're doing that.
Correct.
And that's where now we're pushing back on, UX research. We're pushing back and saying, before we start coding, we're going to talk to end users. We're going to make sure that this actually creates value for them. We're not going to talk to one, right? We've learned that lesson. Hopefully we're going to talk to a pool or a big sample of end users. We're going to ask the right questions, look at the data, present the data back to the client, and then make it an informed decision. Because so many times, and I know you've seen this, you're with a client and they're like, oh, I think that we should do this. And it's like, this is one opinion, right? It's not a fact. It's a thought. And oh, I think that the coupon will generate a lot of the coffee coupon.
It's going to be so exciting. Everyone's going to love it.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. So yeah, I think that shift was actually really big for us in terms of value creation for the customer, because our job, how can I say this? Like, our job stops when it's not true, but in my mind, it's like, a client will hire us to build a mobile app. When we ship it, we've done our job, sort of say. But actually, our job should be continuous, should be, through the life of this software, we're there, we're present. And when we ship, if we didn't do a good job prior, we're never going to have job for the next iteration, because people are going to say it's garbage. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And then we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. So the client may be happy for this first phase, saying, hey, you've listened to me, you've done it really quick, it's amazing. We put it online, and then, you know what? Like, how do you say this? Turncoats? Like, clients can be turncoats. They can come to you and say, well, you've built garbage. Look at the reviews, look at all of this. And then we don't have work necessarily for the following phase, because the client loses trust a little because we did not do our work. So, I mean, we could call it product misfires. It's just a lesson that we've learned, that if we say yes too often, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Exactly. We need to create value for the customer, for the end user, not the customer. Yeah. And by doing so, if they love it, man, they're going to want more. And then the client will be so happy to give us their money to say, let's keep building, because people love what we're generating in terms of features and value.
Exactly. And that's where you start throwing in the different features and growing your product and seeing what else it can touch on. But I think that's where, as an agency, we're in a really particular spot, because it can happen sometimes where we get the contract for the deliverable and we deliver it. And I feel like sometimes the client's idea of the agency is that the work is done, and then maybe they'll take on a maintenance sort of bug fixing contract that's a little bit longer term. But at the end of the day, what we want to do is be able to monitor the app and look at the KPIs and assuring that it is bringing not only the client but their customers value as well. And I think that's where it's sometimes hard in an agency setting, because of the structure of how it works, where it's like, here's what we want you to build, you build it, you ship it, it's kind of done at that point, but it's never done. The product is never done.
No, and it's a mistake to think that it's done, right? And it can be hard if a client is not well informed in what they're getting into. It's not like a house that that you built once, and 99% of the costs are done, and then you just yes, maintenance, but it's not a heavy weight. In this case, it's like if it's 1 year you build the first version, yes, it may be bigger, but the subsequent years it's still as big, right? Our clients, their budget are usually not decreasing, they're actually increasing because they want to do more and more and more, because as they're getting more users, more feedback, more data, more revenues, hopefully that's the goal. As they make money, they're just seeing this as a good investment, and that's where we need to be able to bring the results of the app. And say in your previous company, in the startup world, any product misfires there? I mean, startups are messy. Oof.
Startups are super messy. Startups are really scrappy. We had a very interesting sort of service that we were offering. So in the startup that I worked at, we were working in the fintech world, which is a difficult space to work in because there's so many regulations and laws, and then the users themselves, you're dealing with people's money, and
their money.
It's high
savings.
stakes. Money savings, really, really high stakes. And our app was targeting basically Gen Z millennials as our core focus of end user, because Canada has a serious issue with people not being able to save a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
It's a big issue. And a lot of people that are of the ages of Gen Z and millennials, they're not investing yet, or they haven't really savings. They don't have savings. Yeah. They haven't been introduced to investing. And so that's what our app wanted to change and target, is to give Canadians that are maybe living paycheck to paycheck, maybe don't have a lot of savings in their account, how can we introduce them to the investing world and, get their money making money for them? Great product.
Great cause. Yeah.
Great cause. Great idea. But I think at some point when we were going through the different financing rounds and trying to get investors and do all of that, we fell into the trap of trying to create a little bit too many features as well to get investors interested, to get more users onboarded into the app. And we started offering a bunch of different services, but I don't think we had the time enough to really develop the products like fully baked.
That's a different problem. So you're saying that it was just like the speed at which things were added for a purpose of not necessarily adding value to the customer, but creating the impression to the investors that the product is a bit bigger than what it may be at the moment.
Exactly.
Right? Or just showing the vision or where the product could go, but it's not maybe mature enough to go there.
Exactly. So what we were trying to do is create like a premium service offering that would help users to target their money in different ways. So like instead of helping them save and invest, let's help them tackle their debt. Let's help them find other ways to cut costs in their living expenses. And so we were trying to find different ways that we could tackle the issue on a whole. But it's a startup. It was super scrappy. And there were things that worked really, really well. Like the particular feature that I work on, I can't say it was very much of a misfire because we helped a lot of users save a lot of money with what we were doing, but there was almost no development, like actual coding behind what we did. It was a lot of API connections, a lot of like just really like quick things that were built to kind of put it together, and then a team behind it helping the users save their money.
But that for me, even though it's not a misfire, the lesson there is just crazy, right? The scrappiness is really good. And I love the story about that feature. I know which one you're talking about, and maybe we'll cut it if we can, but do you want to share what was the feature?
Yeah. So basically we were having users, and we were helping users negotiate their home services bills. So their home internet, their cable TV, their cell phone bills, and cell phone bills was a huge.
It's crazy, right? It's like everybody knows that you can call your phone provider and just scream at them or whine at them. No, don't scream at your provider.
Don't scream at them.
But you can complain. And if you stay on the line long enough, they're going to say, okay, we're going to give you some sort of discount. Yeah. And they're sometimes considerable discounts, right?
They're sometimes quite considerable. Yeah.
So that was the idea.
That was the idea, because it's not in everybody's personality to want to pick up the phone and stay on the line for hours on hold, waiting to get to an agent and then try and negotiate with an agent. Like we
all have this friend that does it. And we're
Exactly.
like, I'm not like this friend. Like I don't have the patience. I can't. It's not in my nature. So I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the app became that friend that does that
The
for you.
negotiator feature type of thing.
Exactly. It was
Awesome.
a negotiator feature. So we would, help them with negotiation tactics. We would help them with phone calls even. And we would just kind of like go and be like, these are the types of things that you can say, or even help them shopping around too with something that we did. So, they'd be like, this is my bill. This is how much I pay. This is how much internet I get or data I get on my plan. And we would do the shopping for them where we'd be like, well, this other company has a much better deal. So let's call your provider and try and get a price match.
Did you have visibility? Say you had client A that had a really good deal. Could you say, hey, client B that is looking for the same sort of plan is paying way too much because I can see that, customer A is really low. Could you like try to match? Because you had all the info, right? When all the customers are blind, you don't know what your neighbor is paying. It's fine. But when you start talking, bit like salaries in a company, right? You start talking, everybody's like, hey, wait, that doesn't work, right?
Exactly. No, we were absolutely able to see that.
So you have the data.
So we had the data and, we were able to compare plans and prices that way. Some people, it was like, and what's interesting too about technology and the whole, what's it called? Telecom. Thank you. In the telecom industry is that as plans get grandfathered, they're not always actually at the best prices. You think that a grandfathered plan, you're like, oh, I got in like 10, 15 years ago, I have a really good price. And at the end of the day, no, because data is something that was new, that was an add-on, that was added in, or like there's a whole bunch of things that on grandfathered plans just aren't serving the purpose that they are. Like you have unlimited data plans now for pretty reasonable prices. So I remember
go back 5 years, that plan would have been like triple the price.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
And we had so many users that was the case where they just had a plan and they never really thought about it or looked at it or thought of changing it. Yeah. And it's not something that you go around and start talking to your friends about. You're not like, hey, how much do you pay for your cell phone bill at a picnic or something? It's not normally, it's not a topic of conversation. So it was really interesting how we brought awareness around that and how we were able to see the plans. And I remember one particular user, they had like a family plan where they had multiple people on the one bill and they all had data add-ons added into their plan and not part of their base plan that they were paying. And I think
probably paying a fortune
for this one woman. I think her cell phone bill was close to like $800 a month.
Whoa.
It was like rent.
Whoa.
And so we were able to help negotiate and call it and save her hundreds of dollars a month by changing up her plans because it was an old grandfather plan. So
would you call for the client or was it more coaching? What was the
a bit of both.
A bit of both.
Sometimes we would do like the 3-way calls where we would kind of have them on the line and then we would be
That's
like,
awesome.
when you're like, Mom, take the phone.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Talk about scrappiness though. A 3-way call. Like, okay, I'm going to leave you with Kirsten. She's my daughter.
She's going to help me out.
Yeah. Oh my God. In your company. It's insane. I love it.
So,
but that's a cool feature though, because you actually have an impact. Like for sure. Those people that you called for or you coached, that was great value with what I understand, little engineering.
Exactly. Very little engineering, very little code. It was pretty much only like front facing on the app.
MVP. That's it.
That's what it was. Exactly.
Like as scrappy as it gets, just a form, phone calls.
Phone calls.
Boom.
Quick little chat with the person that's helping you.
And then the impact is direct. And then probably loyalty came to the to the company, to the startup. That's great. These moments are just so cool to see when you're able to create this much value with so little effort. In terms of, again, I go back to engineering because that's where people get lost, where you just overdo it. You try to make it perfect out of the box. And for sure, like phase 2, 3 of this exact product would have been clean, right? It would have been like this whole automated dashboard with, those API connections. And it would have been super, probably prettier for the customer. But then again, maybe not more real value. It's just well packaged and well engineered. Then maybe you need a bit less coordination from the people making the calls. But regardless, it would have been the same output, but just in a cleaner way. And sometimes we want to have this cleaner way before validating. And it's, man, we've done that so much. Awesome. These were, I mean, I think we were just scratching the surface in terms of misfires. We have way more, but these were our top ones, and I like it. I like the conversation. I think they're great. They're fun to reminisce on, and hopefully people listening, they can learn a thing or two. They can, I mean, comment, ask us questions if ever they do have them. But I think that was super cool to talk about these.
Absolutely, we definitely want to hear about it. Write in the comments.
In the comments,
your product misfires.
Yeah, and a lot more to come, right? I think it's fun to talk about what goes well in a product design, but whenever you take a step back, all these lessons, man, just we want to expose them, we want to talk about them, and just see what we've learned through these experiences. So yeah. 12 years at Thirdbridge has shown me a lot of misfires, and I'm sure through all your years, even at theater.
Even in theater. Oh yeah, forgetting your lines in the middle of a performance.
Whoops. Yeah, that happens. All right. Thank you all for listening. Kirsten, thank you for being here and sharing with us. It was great. Good talk.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, and my condolences on your app, Offi.
Yeah, rip Offi.
But maybe it'll come back. Office is a reopening.
Maybe one day. Yeah. Maybe one day, actually. It's always there behind my head, and probably Nick's as well. Kirsten, tell us, where can we follow you? Where should we be looking for you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. Kirsten Sherwin is the name. You can also look up Thirdbridge and probably find me there. And I love connecting with people. I love talking about product. So you can also find me at some of the different product meetups in Montreal, like Product Tank or Design Connect. I'm a regular at those meetups. So if you see me, come say hi.
Come say hi to Kirsten. She's a sweetheart. She's the best. Thank you again for being here. And for people listening that may have an app idea, we've learned through those misfires, we're the top of the top in terms of app development. So it's Thirdbridge. We are a software development agency. Look us up. It's thirdbridge.ca. You're going to see our projects. You're going to see our episodes of the French podcast. And now you're going to be able to follow our Product Misfire podcast as well on the website. It should be coming out monthly or every 2-3 weeks. And until the next time, thank you so much.